Boys and girls, we are finally back. And I have to admit, my bank account has been doing very well for itself. Not having to pull for any characters has been great. However, with Hoyoverse releasing arguably the most egregiously cultured character in Seed, and me being a cultured gentleman and an avid enjoyer, that might change. That could possibly change. So let's take a look. Obviously today we will be pulling for Seed and her Wenjin. Now, Seed is a very interesting character at the moment. She's super unique design-wise and gameplay-wise, but she's not at her full strength yet. She's only going to be 100% powerful once her teammate releases too. Orphie, I believe her name is. So there's a bit of a delay here in terms of her power spike, but she's still very strong and still very much usable. In terms of resources, we've got quite a lot. So without further ado, if you enjoyed this kind of content, please do like, please do subscribe if you want to see more. Let's get into it. Okay, we are at soft pity now, so this should be it. It should be soft pity, but if we win the 50-50, I'm still going to be very much satisfied with it. Any doubles? No doubles. Okay, let's do this. The comeback. Let's win this 50-50. I'm feeling relatively confident. Yep, let's do it. The dogs are out. The dogs are truly out. Yeah, there we go. That's what we were looking for. Let's just soak that in. We are truly not beating the gooner allegations, but it is what it is. Fantastic. Fantastic. But now the scary part. The Wenjin. Let's do this. We are on track. We are on track. Maybe we can get this one early. Okay, this should be it as well. We've hit soft pity again, but this should be it. Hopefully we don't get a double because we hit that last time and it was very, very awkward. Okay. I'm super nervous. I don't have a good feeling about this one for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Please. Oh no.
Come on. No.
Oh my god, that's
no.
Oh,
this can't be happening. We're cooked. We're absolutely cooked. Like I said at the beginning, you know, my bank account has a high probability of suffering because of this kind of shit. Oh. You know, the sad part is we didn't even get it early. We pretty much went to pity as well. Wow, that's a weird Wenjin. Okay, well, we got it. I told you guys we would need to dip into the old bank account for this one, but it is what it is. And here she is in all of her barefoot Segway glory. This is actually insanely fun. Just hovering around on this, I don't know why. But yeah, this is an awkward one. Usually, Hoyoverse likes to release characters on a Wednesday, which gives me pretty much 2 days to record, edit, and build the character. But for some reason, they decided to release her on a Thursday, which makes things very difficult for me, which means I have 1 day to build her, edit, and record everything. So I mean, hopefully I can do this. We'll see. We'll have to see. But yes, I'll catch you guys when she's fully built. In a bit. A couple hours later and Seed is officially finished. I'm not gonna lie, I got really lucky with some of the roles and you'll see when we get there. But yes, she is done. She was very simple to build. She doesn't have any weird breakpoints that you need to care about or anything like that. She's a real simple crit rate, crit damage, attacker. So let's take a look, shall we? Okay, so here are her stats. Now, like I said before, very simple character. Attack is your dump stat. You're going to want anywhere around 2.5 to 3,000. Anywhere in there is perfectly fine. Now, you'll notice I have pen ratio at 24%. We'll talk about this once we get to the actual discs, but if you don't go with pen ratio, hitting 3,000 attack is super easy. When you're going pen ratio, you will expect your attack to be a little bit lower. But anything around the 2.5 mark, you're good to go. When it comes to crit rate and crit damage, crit rate you want anywhere from 75% to a maximum of 85% if you have the Wenjin. The Wenjin itself gives us 15% for free when we're in combat. So right now, in combat, I'm at 99%, 99.2 to be exact. And then crit damage. After that, you really just gonna dump everything you can into crit damage. I managed to reach 190%, which is really good. Anything from like 130 to around 150, you're really good anyways. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But yes, like I said, pen ratio is the thing that really sticks out. We're starting to see a lot more characters caring about pen ratio over attack or the damage percent. But yes, we'll talk about that in a second. In terms of the skills, obviously you want to be maxing out your core passive. This is going to give us the thing that makes her relatively unique in that she is both an attacker and kind of a support, right? She gives a ton of attack, a ton of crit damage, and all of that stuff for your other attacker. She wants to be played with two attackers, which is kind of weird, but it works with her. So you do want to max this out first. Then in terms of priority for the other skills, the majority of her damage really does come from her auto attacks. So you're going to max this out. Then it's going to be the ultimate and EX special around the same. And then these two you can kind of leave at 7, which is what I usually do anyways. Okay, let's talk about the drive discs options that we have. Now, the obvious one is going to be Dawn's Bloom. This is the new set that just came out, so it's made specifically for her. So you're going to want to farm this. In the meantime, while you're farming this, if you want to use something, you could go like 4-piece woodpecker. But honestly, I would just focus on farming up these pieces first, and then we can kind of go from there. In terms of the 2-piece, you do have options. The obvious ones when it comes to any attacker is going to be woodpecker to help you reach that crit rate, or if you want more crit damage, you can do what I did and go branch and blade song. Your other options would be stuff like hormone punk or anything that gives more attack percent, right? Any of the ones that give 2-piece attack are going to be good. So that's completely up to you. Really simple. Your 4-piece is pretty much set in stone, and then it's the standard stuff. You know, nothing new here, nothing stand out. Okay, now that we've looked at the options, let's look at the individual pieces themselves. Now this piece, nothing too crazy. This was really just a filler piece, one of the last pieces I ended up getting. I didn't have anything better than this. 1 crit rate, 2 crit damage. I'm perfectly happy with that. This one, again, nothing crazy just yet. Pretty standard piece. Here is where we start getting into some crazy rolls. 2 into crit damage, 3 into crit rate. This might be my first 5 rolls into useful things. The best I had before was definitely 4. If this was attack percent, it would be even better, but this is technically almost no wasted stats because pen is actually quite good on this character. So I'm pretty happy with this one. When it comes to the 4-piece, you obviously have 2 options. Crit rate or crit damage. It's ultimately going to come down to what's your best substat spread, right? Like I said, you want to be hitting at a minimum 75% crit rate. If you can hit that and still go a crit damage 4-piece, then obviously go for that. But in my case, I wanted to hit 100 or 99.2 in this case. So I just decided to go with this, and I managed to get a really good roll anyways. So I'm very happy with this. This piece, now, this is pretty crazy indeed. Technically no wasted stats and pen ratio. So the 5 is where you have some options. You can go pen ratio, which is what I would recommend. Or you can go attack / you can go damage percent. Now, she gains a ton of attack already, and apparently in the future, when it comes to the deadly assault, we'll be getting a ton of damage percent as well. So pen ratio right now is just what is going to be best. Like, there are no diminishing returns in this game, I know that, but pen ratio is just going to be mathematically the best you can get for now. But ultimately, it will come down to what are your best substats. You know, if you have an attack piece or a damage percent piece with crazy substats, just go for that one. I had this really good pen ratio one sitting around, so I'm perfectly happy with this. And then lastly, again, a very crazy piece. Attack percent is really the only option you have here. Nothing else really works, as always. And yes, 2 rolls into crit damage, 2 into crit rate. I really can't complain. Okay, let's talk about the Wenjin. Not only is it very strong for her, it's actually a very good stat stick, right? It gives base crit rate, which is really good, and then also an unconditional 15% crit rate when you're in combat. Now, obviously, they might not be able to utilize this entire passive, but as a stat stick, it's very strong. So if you do have some other attackers who perhaps you don't have their signatures or their Wenjins are really weak, you could consider picking this up. If not for seed, for them. But in terms of when it comes to seed, it's good, but it's not 100% required. If you have a Brimstone, which I lost my 50-50 to, this is a very good free-to-play option, technically, because you probably would have picked this up from the anniversary event, or you might have a couple copies laying around. If not, the Myriad Eclipse is really good too. In terms of free-to-play options, the Marcato Desire is going to be the best free-to-play option. So when it comes to the Wenjin, it's very strong. Don't get me wrong, around 15 to 10% better than the next best thing. But there are options. There are 100% options. So it's not a must pull. Okay, let's talk about the Mindscapes. Again, nothing too stand out, nothing too out of the ordinary. The M1 is good. It's ultimately just good, right? It reduces the amount of steel charge she requires to do her big punch attacks, increases the crit damage of those punch attacks by a little bit as well. You're just getting some more punch attacks. You know, it's a solid M1, but nothing to really write home about. In terms of the M2, the thing we really care about is this another 20% death shred. That's the main thing. Everything else is kind of just okay, you know, a bit more damage. It is what it is. You know, it's a strong M2 as well. This is the first time for a character that I think, realistically, if you like the character, pick up the character. You realistically don't need their Wenjin, and you don't need any Mindscapes as well. If you're going to pick one up, I would definitely just go for the Wenjin, because the Wenjin itself is very good for her, works very well for her, but is also very useful for other characters if you ever want to switch into them as well. So that's kind of my opinion when it comes to the Mindscapes versus Wenjins, but do with that information what you will. Okay, let's talk about team compositions. Now, like I said earlier on, the actual character that she wants to be paired with is not currently out yet. That's going to be coming a bit later. But that doesn't mean she's useless right now. She can be paired with pretty much any attacker that wants a lot of field time, barring probably Hugo because he does want 2 stunners. But everything outside of that is perfectly fine. So the ones that really come to mind is obviously going to be Soldier Zero Anby and probably Evelyn as well. They demand a lot of field time, a lot of setup. So they work very well with Seed. Very well. In terms of free-to-play options, Billy is the one that really stands out, so that works as well. When it comes to supports, obviously Astra is very strong, like she is with every other team composition, but you can also run something like Trigger as well, if you want a stunner, or if you're free-to-play, Nicole works as well. So overall, she's relatively flexible and quite free-to-play friendly as well. So, but yes, we'll probably have to revisit her when Orphie comes out, which we will, and we'll see just how much stronger she is then. And that, boys and girls, pretty much wraps it up. I'm not gonna lie, this one has been difficult for me because, like I mentioned after I pulled, I only had one day to do all of this, to record, to build, to edit, and it's been tough, but we managed to do it anyways. The things I do for you guys. So yeah, in terms of my closing thoughts on this character, I really don't like what Hoyo is doing when they release a character knowing that they're not going to be 100% that enjoyable or 100% there in terms of power until the next character comes out. I think that's a bit of a disingenuous way of creating and releasing characters, because it means if you are a free-to-play player or a low spender, you're almost forced into picking up 2 characters instead of just getting one generically good one. But yes, she's very fun to play, and I think she will be very strong anyways once Orphie comes out. So I don't regret picking her up. Would I recommend it? I think in some sense, yes. If you're going to pick up Orphie as well, it's a no-brainer. But, you know, if you missed out on Trigger or you just want a really cool character, definitely pick her up. And the fact that she is relatively free-to-play friendly as well is quite good. You know, she doesn't need her Winchin, she doesn't need any Mindscapes to function. So, a very solid character, a very interesting character, and one that I do quite enjoy playing. But yes, that pretty much wraps it up. Stick around for the showcase if you want. If not, please do like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
僕、嫌いなやつには離脱するよ。